Hello everyone and welcome back to Gear Haven, where we are playing with the Ironteeth on this tiny map. As you can tell, we're using up a ton of space, but you know, technically we could still build further up and stuff like this, but yeah, we're gonna be all right. The tree farm is also now expanding since we've solved the issues in the last episode. I'm quite excited about this. And today, I think it is time that we clean all of this up a little bit more. Specifically, what I've noticed is we do still have a gear workshop here and a smelter here, and I think both of them should actually be moved somewhere else. So we have just built this gear workshop here, which means we can just delete this one. Yep, let's actually just delete you. And for the smelter, I think back here makes actually a ton of sense if we put additional smelters in right there. So let's go ahead, put some platforms down. So, you know, we can actually build our smelters on top. One here, one there. Because I'm thinking adding another one in here, like in our colony, will also be very beneficial because as it stands right now, we only have a handful of smelters, and considering we need about 2,000 or so of the metal blocks, that's just a ton of material that we currently are not producing or are not even storing. All right, so they can build this, and whenever that is done, I can delete this smelter. However, I'm actually just gonna pause this one for now. If I do that, those three things won't be connected to the power anymore, and neither are the mud baths. And that is obviously a problem. So that is something that we will need to tackle first before we do anything else. Now, the big question is how to best tackle this. And I don't know. Yeah, you guys probably thought I had this mega solution already prepared, but I think it is tricky because ideally we kind of come over from this side and maybe we can actually just put in a bunch of tunnels underneath. However, I want to make sure we're not actually destroying the tree farm over here, or at least the tree line for now. So let me actually go down quite a bit. Here we go. So this is the top level of the trees. Now, this is the level one underneath, and we cannot connect this up right here because otherwise everything else will flood. However, when we look at this, that is actually a good height for a certain period of time. So let's go ahead and actually plan this out. If we're setting in tunnels, let's actually just do one tunnel right here and then double this up, making sure we're not hitting the trees and we're close but not quite hitting it yet. That's making sure, yep. We can then move over this way, just like that, and then kind of get close and then have another look once we actually get there to make sure we're not touching this. I don't think there will be any bad water coming out if we're building a tunnel here. Or let's put it like this. I at least hope so, that this won't be the case. All right, we're not quite there yet. So the tunnels need to go one further to the front. And then in order to get underneath, we probably want to go under here, as to not disrupt everything too much. So if we're planning it like this, we should actually be okay. Well, assuming there's no bad water flooding out of this entire area. Because again, if we go one further up, nothing is on the tree line. So that's good. And that should be able to get us all the way where we really need to be. All right. Now these have been built and I completely forgot what I wanted to do. That is also add a power connection in there. All right, so let's quickly fix that. We're removing this power shaft right here, replacing you with a vertical power shaft on this side. Also gonna add one lower down here as well. And then put a single platform on top. Hello, single platform. Oh, it is on top. All right. In addition to these regular power shafts on top of that. So once all of these are in, our smelters are connected and then they can keep building. All right, that's why I also put them on the highest priority. Not that I ever put anything on highest priority. No, I'm just kidding. Of course I put everything on highest priority. That's what the game incentivizes. So anyways, they can definitely build this first, can slowly work their way through with the tunnels here. And one thing that I haven't built yet, but with the newest update is more or less essential, is actually something that creates these metal parts, because the new Beaver busts, they don't actually need metal blocks anymore, it needs metal parts. And where better to put it than in this area up here where we, well, just have a ton of space. So I guess we could actually put it right here, closer to the scrap metal. You know what? That makes actually a little bit more sense. So let's go ahead and do that. Place it back like this. Go into here, unlock the metalsmith, fits in like a glove. And then we're adding another path. Yeah, not a staircase, just another path in there. Highest priority on everything. Because again, that's just how we roll. And then they can finish building that. All right. One of the smelters absolutely going to be in, actually both of the smelters are just going to be bots. We do have one bot shortage, but you know, I think that'll be okay for now. Because both of these are actually medium chance of injury, which I'm kind of trying to avoid if at all possible. Same with this one. So I think we're also immediately unlocking that for bots. And then we're again in a better situation. Now, if we are looking into our happiness meter, that is something that we probably need to address. Roofs are an issue because, well, we don't have enough. Right now, those two things are kind of the only roofs that we're using, and that's, well, not that great. What I think will actually look quite nice, and I'm going to plan this out, even though it will cost us a ton, and I mean a ton of planks, I think it will be quite worth it because it will look great. If we're gonna go ahead and create a covered walkway. So, oh no, the bot just died. Aww. All right, covered walkway. Back to the topic. We're placing all these rooftops down. And apparently I missed one here. So let's go ahead and fix that. Go. And kind of need to do something similar over here. I guess we could actually place you there. The problem with this one right here, actually, yeah, let's place you here, is that we don't have a nice matching piece for the front. Now that's a bit of a bummer. But, you know, we'll be able to deal with that. And again, we're just adding the rooftops all along here. There, one there. And here's where we just still need to figure something out. So we could, yeah, none of these would work properly. I guess we could add you here and then put two single ones on either side. So it looks at least somewhat put together. Actually, I want to rotate you. There we go. And then this entire area will actually be roofed. Now we could do the same up here, but at least the bottom part there will be covered and they can get to a lot of these things without ever getting wet. Now, if we do want to keep this this idea up, we obviously also need to add rooftops up here and technically on top of here as well, but maybe we'll skip that one. Don't hold it against me. If we fill all of this in, I think this will actually look quite nice. And this kind of gives me, or makes me want to build a Japanese-inspired Timberborn build, where you have these covered walkways, you know, as in the traditional Japanese houses. That could actually be quite an awesome build. All right, the beaver busts are finally in, so that has hopefully helped in terms of overall happiness. And the rooftops, yeah, they will take a little bit longer. Let me actually make sure you guys high prioritize this one. However, we also see that we are out of planks, so we'll temporarily pause that gear workshop right here. And while they are doing other stuff, let me actually see how they are getting along with the tunnels, because they probably have built as far as they can go. And yep, looks like it. So let's put a path down here, free up some of the material, because they can definitely use it not only for the rooftops that we just placed, but also for these tunnel pieces. And I'm going to set you actually on the highest priority because I kind of want to get this done. As well as adding the normal power shafts over in on this side of the build. All right. Yep, they are busy carrying stuff around. We have this place actually really well connected, because it didn't take them that long to get the material from here up to our plank storage, closest plank storage. That is. All right, where are we actually storing our metal blocks? I think it is actually only in here. So the next thing that we should also plan, because we've also now built these smelters, is to well, add additional metal block storage. And we kind of need the same height as this, just with metal blocks. So how should we do this? I guess the easiest way to move this forward is to just extend this in the exact same way, and then go over here, copy the industrial piles for the metal blocks, and then add them in the same height. All right, adding the paths in as well. Don't need you, actually, so we'll remove that. And then more platforms. A lot more platforms. As well as all the paths that we could possibly need. All right, here we go. Now this should actually not take them too long to build. And yeah, I'm also going to set this on the highest priority, because again, that's kind of just what I do. Everything goes on the highest priority. But, you know, it'll be fine. It'll be fine. It will help us get to the number of metal blocks that we need in order to create the final monument. And that's kind of what we're ultimately aiming for. All right, in the meantime, they are building still our reservoir up. I don't think it will happen once the next bad tide is over, but I'm hoping the one after that, well, hoping is, I guess, the big point. Maybe I should actually also just unpause this. They could also finish these two, but I guess it's more important to wrap the ones up in the back. All right, anyways. Back to, well, where we were before. So let me go back underground. Actually, over here, we can do a little bit more. So if we're planning this out, putting more platforms over here, we can put the path over on this way. And then ultimately start to remove this path in the long run, giving us a bit more building space. Not that we need any building space right now, but it will be quite useful to have once we, you know, get to the right point. All right. Other than that, they're still doing a really good job at getting the tunnels in. So I like to see that. And just like before, we keep freeing up the material so we can keep building a little bit faster. And yep, that seems to be working pretty well. All right. In addition, yep, they're putting in the last 2 pieces on the back here. And 1 metal block storage is already in. There's already some metal blocks that go in there. So that's kind of nice to see. How are they? Yeah, they're slowly still building the rooftops, although they don't have the highest priority. So they will obviously take a little bit longer than hopefully our tunnels. And keep in mind, we're building those tunnels as well, just to make sure we have a nice space to remove that last smelter that's just sitting around while still connecting the entire rest of our power grid to this side over here. Now I wish there was a levee system that had gear attached to it, so you could easily plug this one basically up, so the water stays behind it, but the power connection goes through. However, that was never part of the official Timberborn. It was part of one of the mods though. And, you know, I really miss that. Because it makes life so much easier. I mean, so much easier. All right. Another day has passed. And they're back to work. I like to see that. Busy beavers. There we go. And I'm making really good progress to get over here. Let me also have a look in the meantime how all of this is shaping up to be. Not bad. Again, the biggest challenge right now is the plank production. And at the moment, we actually have one of our gear workshops paused. Are they actually doing anything? No. Okay, so let me temporarily pause. Actually, if you're not doing anything, that means you're not using up any planks. So what's using up the planks are probably the wood workshops, but also probably not that many. So yeah, I think it'll be fine. It'll be fine. All right. Can't really complain because they are getting through these tunnels actually very quickly. All right. Let's keep demolishing the platforms. And I guess once they pick all of this up, which apparently also has to be done by builders, and I really wish the haulers would be doing their job over here. But again, ain't happening. So, you know, that's just what it is. There's one more thing that we can already plan for, and that is demolishing one of these connections. And I thought I had demolished the one to the right, but it doesn't look like it. I guess it also doesn't quite matter. So let me go ahead, destroy you already. Put a double vertical shaft in here. Set everything up here to the highest priority as well, and then add the path back in. So all of this is connected again. All right, back underground. Yeah, they're already putting material into these vertical shafts. I like to see that. And then we can keep destroying the platforms and expanding our power connection. Almost there though, almost there. I already put one in here as well. They should be able to reach that from the top. I'm hoping at least. And yep, still making good progress. They're also, yep, they're almost done with our new metal block storage. Insane. Which means our smelters are finally working again, like properly. So I like to see that. Do we actually, how many? We could free up some bots, but I don't think we need to. We do actually have this guy still. It's currently not doing anything. So let's unpause this. Yeah, 20 of the haulers in here. Is this all the hauler posts we have? I guess so. Huh. Right, anyways. Back underground. That was the wrong height. Here we go. And look at that. Almost there. Almost there. We can actually have them stop building these tunnels and just focus on those last two. And then, you know, manually manage two one after the other. But I think that will make things a little bit cheaper overall for us. Oh, can you not build this? Okay, you can build this from the top. Good. Almost there. Almost there. Power connection through here. This one's in now, so let's make sure we demolish this as well. And then start adding the next power shaft down this way. Highest priority. Even though they are still building that first. Right, placing down the next one already, highest priority. And once that one is in, we can place both of these because they can build through the diagonal. And then we have the power connection all the way up to our power section on the right side of, or technically when you look at it, like I usually look at it, on the left side of the map. Right, highest priority still on both of these, and once they are in, we can also remove this entire construction, so to speak, of power, and then fill this up with more trees, should we want to. But I think more importantly is we can utilize this area right here for a bit more of fun entertainment for our beavers. Right, I'm just guessing they are done. So let's destroy the smelter. Power is still in there. So yep, looks like we were actually done. And then we're cleaning all of this up. Deleting all of that as well. And like I said before, we're adding more. Actually, hold on. Before we add more trees, let's look into our well-being. We have two options. The wind tunnel or the motivatorium. They both fit in there, but not next to each other. If we are destroying you, though, we could build both of them next to one another. And I think we're actually going to do that. Because we might be struggling. Actually, hold on. Let's see. If we're adding the motivatorium here, that actually fits in there. With the wind tunnel. The wind tunnel fits in here as well. It does cost us 2 of our builder's huts, but that's not too bad. Oh, but the motivatorium actually needs to go on ground. So what we are going to do is put the wind tunnel into this area. In order to make that happen, however, we need to also make sure that the power is connected. And I think we would be able to connect it underneath. But you know what? We'll just give it a try and then we know. So first we're making the space over here. Wind tunnel, just double check. Yep, that is the perfect amount of space. And then we want to add a underground path, basically. So we're temporarily destroying you. Adding... Why? Oh, you're actually not disconnected. You're just... I guess technically you are disconnected. Not disconnected from the power. You are just disconnected with a path. So we can fix that pretty quickly. We're going to high prioritize the dynamite in there. Then we can add a vertical power shaft underneath. If anyone builds this quickly, come on, detonate. Yep, here we go. Vertical power shaft, highest priority, please. And then we add a single platform on top, also highest priority, as well as a path over here. And then a normal power connection over this way. All right. Next thing, in order to properly connect this up, I'm going to make sure that we'll kind of go somewhat in the middle. Maybe because we have the dynamite right now and the space, we're going to do that. We're not going to go into the middle, but I'll make sure they explode all of this out. And if the wind tunnel will actually have the power connection that it needs, we can always fill in this last piece again, should we need to do so. All right, so vertical power shafts, I guess all along here, mostly because why not? I guess one of the reasons why not is it does cost us more material, a good amount more material, but we're actually okay right now with our material, so that is good. And then we can unlock the wind tunnel, place you on top of this, and this way our beaver should be much better off. All right, we also don't need this tiny industrial pile anymore because we don't have the smelter in front of it left. So after wind tunnel experience, they probably want to take a shower, I guess. So we'll place that down, as well as, because I just saw it, put a rooftop on top of these small storage areas. We're gonna do the same actually on any storage that we find, like any of the small storages that we find, just to make it look again a little bit nicer overall. All right, so let me make sure they are building all of this appropriately. Okay, all the vertical power shafts are in, so that's nice. Might ultimately need to move one further up to the side, but that's also okay. But for now, let's set the highest priority on the wind tunnel, because I want to make sure it actually runs. It looks like it's connected, but I've been burned. In case you didn't see the mouse, I was just highlighting the rooftop terraces with all the burning going on there. I've been burned with this before, where it highlights, specifically I think up here. No, this was actually okay. It just wasn't connected on this side. Right. Alright, anyways. They are putting, everything is in the wind tunnel already. And it is working, so let me go ahead. I do want to see the first beaver fly, so I'm briefly gonna pause. I'm gonna add another piece of soil back in here. Who's our first beaver to fly? Nope, you're thirsty. There we go. Yavo. Good for you, mate. Good for you, mate. I do wonder, give me a second, and I think this is a pretty awesome thumbnail. Here we are. Back in the normal mode. Let's make sure we're resetting the height properly. Also, you are set to highest priority, so that is good. And then we can fill up more of this area overall with some more of our oak trees to just, you know, keep our oak population healthy. All right, rooftops are in as well. That is nice. This would also be a really nice screenshot. Let me do that. Problem is when you have too many good thumbnail pictures. Anyways, more storage for our metal blocks. We do have enough storage for our treated planks. Let's have a quick look in the monument. We do need more storage for our gears. So let's quickly plan some more for that. And I think we're just going to add them back here, which could potentially always be... would be nice to get this one in though. Easy peasy. Let's go ahead, put some dynamite down here. Because right now we have probably around 600 storage for this. Oh, don't actually need those. So let's demolish these two. Once they've plugged in all of these, we can very quickly put down the metal platforms on top. Double length, here we go. I guess we could expand this further. I don't think we need it in this playthrough, so let's leave it at that. Once those are in, we can then add the large warehouse. Just having you face actually just in this direction, and then set you to gears as well, which funny enough is the same height as this. So we can always still like make our way one level above and then add another storage solution on top of that. But both of our current storage and this one should give us about 1,800 worth of gears. And that is kind of all we need for that final monument to get it built. I don't quite know yet where we are actually placing it, because it is massive, but maybe actually up here would be, good enough. Anyways, that is definitely a future worry. They're still building all of this. I think overall we've made good progress. Hold on. I do want to kind of wait until the regular season comes back, although this will actually remain the way it is for a little while longer. So I'm going to call this an episode. Thank you all for watching, and I hope to see you next time. Bye-bye.